Okay, so let's add one of the most thematic elements of Malifaux to the game, the notion of Soulstones. They can be represented in a variety of different ways. I'm choosing to use beads here. And each crew will typically have a Soulstone cache at the start of the game, with a number of Soulstones available to be used by certain models. In Malifaux, Henchmen and Masters can use Soulstones to do a variety of different things, usually to augment or enhance how their cards are working for them. So in this situation, I've added two models, both Henchmen, the Judge for the Guild and Toshiro for the Resurrectionists, both of which can manipulate Soulstones. So let's start a new turn. So the start of a turn kind of pans out the usual way. You take your discard piles and you shuffle them into your decks. So I'll just pop these in here and then give these a good shuffle. Oh, moderate shuffle anyway. Then you discard any cards that you don't want in your hand. They go start at the start of new discard pile. So these two cards are particularly poor, so I'm going to get rid of those. And you draw your new hand. So I'm going to draw a full hand of 6 cards this time. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So let's see what the guild have. So not too bad. We have a number of high cards there and a couple of quite low cards. So this is the first potential use for a Soulstone. If you don't like your hand, you can use a Soulstone to draw 2 more cards and then discard back to your hand of 6. So that hand is okay for the guild, so let's leave that as is. For the Resurrectionists, then again the discard pile gets shuffled in. I'll be even more hasty with my shuffling this time. Deck. Okay, so again, what cards are they going to discard? What are they going to discard? There's a 7 there, so that'll get discarded into the discard pile. And then I've kept 1 card in the hand here, so I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to the total of 6. And this hand is actually quite decent as well, so it's 8, 6, a 10, 11, 7, and 8, so not too bad. I'm not paying too much attention to the suits, though suits do matter quite a lot in this game, as we've seen for triggers. Okay, so that's the hand for the Resurrectionists. So our usual turn starts, so flip for initiative. Flip a 2 there, that's quite poor. Flip a 3 there, equally poor. So here's another option for Soulstone use. Use it to reflip initiative. So I think that's a good choice for the moment for the Resurrectionists. Get rid of a Soulstone, so I've taken that out of the pool, so I only had 3, I now have 2. Reflip at 12. That's a much better option. The option would now go to the guild if they want to use a Soulstone, but the chance of beating a 12 is quite low, so they're just going to have to accept that, and those cards now go back into the discard piles. So the Resurrections get to activate, and if you recall from last time, this Death Marshal had 4 wounds on him, and he'd also buried an Ashigaru, so that makes him a prime target for an attack from Toshiro. So that's what's going to happen. Toshiro is going to charge him. So Toshiro has a 6-inch charge. So he's going to charge to about there. He also has a 2-inch reach, so there's no point in getting too close to the Death Marshal. So he's going to stand back to there. So he's now going to swing with his Ancestral Katana, which is a melee 6. It has a tome built in, and the resist against defense. Okay, so this is the first of his charge attacks. Oh, okay, well, he flips a 13, so that's a 19 total against a 10 total from the Death Marshal. Looking at my cards, even with a 13 I can't beat another 13, so a 10 versus an 18 would be a straight twist on damage, which is a negative twist against the Death Marshal. He'll take the hit. Negative twist. Deals weak damage. Weak damage does 2 damage, which kills him, because he only has 2 wounds left. And if you have a look at his card, he also has finished the job. This model, when it is killed, he places a scheme marker. I'll talk about schemes and strategies another day. So he's killed, but before he's killed, we take out the model that was buried. Let's read the unburying rules. It's buried in base contact, so let's place him there. Move him out of the way. Death Marshal has died. Now, activation goes over to the guild player. He only has one model to activate, and he has the Judge. There's the Judge's card. So the Judge has Hard to Wound. He has Final Repose, which basically means models killed by him don't place markers of any kind, so don't leave scrap or corpse markers. And he's also hard to kill. On the back of his card, he has a ranged attack, he has a pistol attack, and he has triggers on each, which allows him to make the other attack, which sounds a bit strange. So if he's using his blade, he can make an attack with his pistol. If he's using his pistol, he can make an additional attack with his blade. So basically a kind of a hail of bullets and sword strikes. So he's now in a very tricky situation. So he probably wants to try and take a couple of pot shots, try and get rid of maybe the Ashigaru before it activates. So that's what he's going to attempt to do. He's going to attempt a ranged attack with his long arm pistol. Has range 10, so measuring it's well within range. There's only about a 5-inch gap between them. And he has 2 triggers on this. He has a critical strike, adding +1 damage, which we've seen before, and that bullets and blades, which allows him essentially to make an additional attack. So let's attempt that. So he'd really like to get the additional attack. So here's another use for Soulstones. Before he makes a flip, he's going to, first off, well, look at my cards. Actually, I have a mask in there. A mask is what triggers the bullets and blades effect. So in my hand, I have one of the cards that's really useful. So he's just going to flip for his attack. He flips a 6, shooting a value of 5, so he's an 11 starting total. The Ashigaru flips a 5, his defense of 4, he's a 9 starting total. So the Ashigaru player has an option to cheat to try and stop that attack. So he's going to cheat up a little bit. He's going to cheat in an 8. That now gives him a 12 total versus 11. So the guild player is now missing. The guild player now has an option to cheat. He's going to cheat at 13. It's actually too high. Doesn't need to go down. Well, yeah, he does it. He's going to do it for damage. He could have cheated the 9 in because he really wants the mask. I have a 9 of masks here as well. But the mask is what's important and the high value. So he now has an 18 playing a 12, which is a straight twist for damage, and he's triggering his bullets and blades. After damaging, take a long arm blade attack action against the target. This action is treated as a range 10 and may not declare any triggers, so you can't just keep recursively getting these attacks. So it'll be a straight twist for damage. Move these to the discard pile. So that would be moderate damage. I would have a chance to cheat in there, but moderate damage I think is good enough. So moderate damage on this weapon, it's a 2-3-5 damage spread, so that'll do 3 damage to the Ashigaru, but of course it has armor, so it does 2 wounds to it. But now he gets his free long arm blade attack. So he can't declare triggers on this, so now he makes the attack. It has a melee of 6. Well, so that's an 18 total. Ashigaru flips a 2. So I think the Ashigaru might be in trouble, but I might want to reduce the distance between them. So currently it's an 18 plays a 6. So I'm going to drop in the 10. So now it's an 18 plays a 14, which is a negative twist. So a negative twist is weak damage, would deal another 2, but the armor drops it to 1. So the Ashigaru has taken 3 damage in total. But there's still another attack to come, because there's another AP on the Henchman. So he's going to again use that same long arm pistol attack. Wow, flips 13, but doesn't get the suit he wants. So here's where he's left with a tricky situation. But let's see if it really turns into a tricky situation. So an 11 is flipped by the Ashigaru, so he's on a total of 15 plays and 18. So that's okay. Had I used a Soulstone, before I flipped, I could have added the suit that I wanted, the mask that was going to trigger that additional attack. I was foolish not to. So he has made the attack. It's going to be a negative twist for damage. Takes the weak, another 1 damage. So 4 damage done to the Ashigaru, and that's the end of his activation. So Soulstones are pretty powerful things. Can be used to add suits. They can also be used to add positive flips to attack. Can be used to add positive flips to defense and also a negative tip to your opponent's damage flip. They can be used for adding suits. So they're quite useful tools but only the henchmen can make use of them. Thanks for watching, guys.